Hi there, George Mayfield with Frameworks Consortium. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how I started writing my book, Frameworks for Business Success, and the tool that it can help you to get organized as you're writing your chapters. So my book here has 13 chapters. It also has a few subchapters, just under 300 pages, but yours doesn't have to be this big. It doesn't have to be this complicated. But still, I think this is a tool that can help you to get organized. Or writing your book, the first thing that you should do is figure out what your book is about. So hopefully you're at that point, and you may have even started to write a bullet point outline of where you're going with your book and what you want to talk about as you're writing your book. So this sheet, which is available for download on our website, is something that I use to help write my book and stay organized as I had all of those chapters laid out. So the first thing you do is you'll notice at the top there's a chapter number. Obviously you start with 1. Then you'll have another sheet for chapter 2, chapter 3. There are 6 subpoints that you want to talk about in each chapter. You don't have to use all 6, and you can use more if you just get a second sheet. However, I would recommend if you have more than 6 subpoints, you're probably writing too much in that chapter. And the next subpart is very important. This is the about section. So you want to write what your chapter is about and then stick to that. Think of that as the mission of your chapter. What are you trying to get across to your reader that you want them to understand by the time they finish reading this chapter? As you're writing your subpoints, stick to it. Make sure that you are constantly referring back to the about to make sure that you're fitting the subpoints into the right chapter. You'll also see that it says chapter name. You can actually leave that blank, and you may want to do that until you have your chapter fully fleshed out. However, if you already got a name that's stuck in your head that you think needs to be the chapter name, you can write it there. I would suggest that you use pencil for all of this because I guarantee you will make changes. So in the body of this sheet are your subpoints. You have 2 sides to each one. You have the story and you have the content. The content is what you're trying to deliver to your reader. If you're talking about a business process, the finances that they should be looking at, how to set up a sales system, anything like that, that would go in the content part. That's the part that you want to get across. So you may have heard somewhere that stories are a great way to get readers to engage and to understand. So if you have a concept that you're trying to explain, and then you have a story that goes along with it, that helps the reader to understand how this might have helped somebody that you've helped before, how it may have helped yourself. A story is a great way for your reader to understand that content and then relate back to what you're trying to say. So it all depends on your writing style and how your brain works to how you use these. For myself, I was writing all of my chapters kind of all at the same time. So I would have my table, my dining room table had these just spread out across it, and drove my wife nuts. Each chapter had its own page, was laid out on my table, and as I thought of more and more concepts to talk about in my book, I could go to that chapter, write that content, and then I would try to relate back to that with the story. And then I would go through and make sure that I didn't repeat myself, number 1, with talking about content, or number 2, with even telling the same story twice. I think that would be pretty embarrassing. Once you get all that filled out, you have all your chapters fleshed out of what you're going to write about, the story you're going to tell. You know, you may draw arrows and say, well, I want to talk about this subpoint before that one, move it around. You may want to get another sheet and rewrite it entirely. It's just all up to you. But once you have all that done, it's like a storyboard for your book. So you can lay it out and visually see what you're writing about. And you may even end up moving chapters around as well. But that's a really good time to have a peer review all your chapters to make sure that everything makes sense, that it flows nicely. So I hope that this tool is very helpful. I know that it was for me. And if you have any other questions, you can let us know in the comments, or you can always reach out to us. Thank you.